Horse carries injured boy to safety. What happens next is unforgettable. How will this story escalate? To find out, watch the video to the end. But first, please subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications to get more stories like this. The story begins in a quiet, scenic countryside, where a boy named Lucas often ventures to explore the woods with his beloved horse, Bella. Lucas, an adventurous and curious child, has always had an unbreakable bond with Bella, a spirited yet gentle mare. One sunny afternoon, Lucas decides to take Bella for a ride deeper into the forest, ignoring the warnings from his parents about the tricky terrain. As Lucas rides into the dense woods, a sudden misstep causes an accident that changes everything. The accident happens suddenly, without warning. As Bella carefully navigates a narrow forest trail, Lucas becomes distracted by the sounds of chirping birds above. The young boy shifts his attention skyward, marveling at a flock of colorful finches darting through the canopy. Just as he loosens his grip on the reins, Bella steps on a patch of loose stones, causing her to lose her footing. Lucas, unprepared for the sudden jolt, is thrown from the saddle and tumbles down a steep embankment. The fall feels endless to Lucas, each bounce and scrape adding to the panic coursing through his veins. When he finally lands at the bottom, pain radiates through his leg, and his vision blurs. Struggling to sit up, he realizes he cannot move his right leg without sharp, excruciating pain shooting through it. Tears well up in his eyes as the reality of his situation sinks in. He is injured, alone, and far from help. Bella, startled by Lucas's fall, rears up momentarily before regaining her composure. The loyal mare immediately trots to the edge of the embankment, whinnying frantically as she peers down at Lucas. Her instincts as a herd animal tell her that her companion is in danger, and she stomps the ground with urgency. Lucas, despite his pain, feels a sliver of hope as he sees Bella above. "Bella," he cries out weakly, his voice barely audible. "I need you." The mare's ears perk up at the sound of his voice. Bella begins pacing along the edge of the embankment, looking for a way to reach Lucas. She finally spots a gentler slope a few yards away and carefully descends to where Lucas lies. The boy's relief is palpable as Bella nudges him gently with her muzzle, her warm breath reassuring him that he is not alone. Lucas tries to assess his injuries, gritting his teeth as he lifts the hem of his pants to reveal a large, swelling bruise on his shin. It is clear that his leg is either sprained or broken, and any attempt to stand results in unbearable pain. With tears streaming down his face, he strokes Bella's neck, his only source of comfort in the moment. "Good girl," he whispers, his voice trembling. "I don't know what to do, Bella. I can't walk." Bella seems to understand the gravity of the situation. She lowers her head, as if urging Lucas to climb onto her back. But the embankment is uneven and littered with sharp rocks, making it nearly impossible for Lucas to hoist himself up. He tries to grab Bella's mane, but his weakened state makes the task too difficult. Frustration wells up inside him, and he feels a wave of helplessness. As the sun begins to dip below the horizon, the forest grows colder and darker. Lucas knows that staying in the woods overnight could be dangerous, with the possibility of wild animals nearby. He looks into Bella's intelligent eyes and makes a decision. He has to trust her completely. With great effort, Lucas ties a makeshift strap around Bella's saddle using his jacket, creating a handle he can use for leverage. "Come closer, girl," he says softly, trying to mask his fear. Bella obeys, standing as still as a statue, while Lucas gathers all his strength to pull himself onto her back. Every movement is agonizing, but with Bella's steady presence, he finally manages to climb up and settle into the saddle. Once Lucas is securely on Bella's back, the mare seems to take control of the situation. Without any prompting, she begins walking back toward the trail they had taken earlier in the day. Her pace is deliberate, avoiding any uneven ground or obstacles that could cause further harm to her rider. Lucas holds on tightly, his arms wrapped around Bella's neck as he whispers words of encouragement. "You're amazing, Bella," he murmurs. "You're going to save me." The journey back is slow and arduous. Bella navigates the darkening forest with remarkable precision, her instincts guiding her towards safety. Lucas, though exhausted and in pain, feels a deep sense of awe at Bella's intelligence and loyalty. He begins to recall the many times she had shown similar acts of care, nudging him away from danger, standing protectively by his side during storms, and always being attuned to his emotions. As they make their way through the forest, the sound of nocturnal animals grow louder. Owls hoot from above, and the rustling of leaves signals the presence of small creatures nearby. Lucas feels a surge of fear, but reminds himself to trust Bella. Her confidence gives him the strength to remain calm, even as the forest grows increasingly intimidating. Finally, after what feels like an eternity, Bella emerges from the dense woods onto a familiar trail. Lucas recognizes it as the path leading back to their family's farmhouse. Relief washes over him, but he knows they are not out of danger yet. The trail is still a considerable distance from home. Bella continued her careful journey along the trail, her hooves crunching softly against the dirt path as Lucas clung to her with all the strength he could muster. Each step the horse took sent small shocks of pain through his injured leg, but he gritted his teeth and held on. The moonlight illuminated the narrow trail ahead, casting long shadows from the trees that seemed to stretch endlessly in the dim light. The temperature dropped further, and Lucas could feel his fingers growing numb as he gripped Bella's mane. "Come on, girl," he murmured, his voice trembling with cold. "We can make it." "I know we can." Bella's ears twitched at his voice, and she let out a soft whinny in response. Her movements were steady, deliberate, as though she understood the gravity of the situation. Lucas leaned forward, his head resting against her neck. The warmth of her body was a small comfort against the bitter chill that seeped through his clothes. He tried to stay awake, but his exhaustion was overwhelming. His eyelids grew heavy, and his grip slackened slightly. "Stay awake, Lucas," he whispered to himself. "You have to stay awake." As Bella pressed on, the faint glow of a distant light came into view. Lucas's heart leapt at the sight. It was the farmhouse. He strained to sit up straighter, ignoring the sharp pain in his leg. They were so close, but he knew he couldn't let his guard down yet. The farmhouse was still a few hundred yards away, and he needed to find a way to alert someone inside. "Bella," he said, his voice hoarse, "you've got to let them know we're here." The mare's pace quickened as they approached the property. Her ears swiveled forward, and she let out a loud neigh, breaking the silence of the night. Lucas clung tightly to her as she trotted toward the house, her hooves striking the ground with urgency. The sound of barking dogs filled the air, their voices echoing through the darkness. Lights flickered on inside the house, one by one, and the front door creaked open. "Who's there?" called a deep voice from inside. A man stepped out onto the porch, his silhouette outlined by the warm glow of the house behind him. He shielded his eyes, squinting into the night. "What's going on?" Bella came to a halt in the front yard, letting out another commanding neigh. The man stepped closer, his expression shifting from confusion to alarm as he spotted the boy slumped over the horse's back. "Lucas," he exclaimed, rushing forward. "What happened to you?" The man, Mr. Harper, carefully lifted Lucas off Bella's back. The boy winced as his injured leg shifted, but relief flooded over him as he felt the warmth of human contact. Mr. Harper carried him inside, calling for his wife to bring blankets and the phone. The farmhouse was a stark contrast to the cold, dark woods, a place of safety and comfort. Lucas was laid gently on the couch, and Mrs. Harper quickly wrapped him in layers of blankets. She placed a warm cup of tea in his hands, urging him to take small sips. "You're safe now, honey," she said soothingly. "We've called for help. Just hold on a little longer." Lucas nodded weakly, his eyes fluttering shut for a moment. The warmth of the fire crackling in the hearth began to seep into his bones, chasing away the chill that had settled in. His mind was hazy, but he managed to mumble a few words. "Bella, she saved me," he said, his voice barely audible. Outside, Bella stood near the porch, her breath visible in the cold air. She watched as the Harpers moved quickly to care for Lucas, her ears flicking back and forth as if she were listening to their every word. Mr. Harper stepped outside to stroke her neck, murmuring words of gratitude. "You're a hero, girl," he said. "You brought him home." Minutes later, the sound of sirens echoed through the night as an ambulance arrived. Paramedics rushed inside, assessing Lucas's condition and preparing him for transport. He was carefully placed on a stretcher, and as they carried him out to the waiting ambulance, Lucas turned his head to look at Bella one last time. "Thank you, Bella," he whispered. "You're my hero." The mare let out a soft whinny, her dark eyes filled with an understanding that seemed almost human. Mr. Harper gently led her to the barn, where he prepared a warm stall with fresh hay and water. Bella settled in, her body weary, but her spirit content. She had done her part, and now she could rest. In the days that followed, Lucas's recovery became the talk of the community. Everyone marveled at Bella's intelligence and loyalty, calling her a miracle horse. Lucas, now out of the hospital and on crutches, insisted on visiting her as soon as he could. When he entered the barn, Bella's ears perked up, and she let out an excited neigh. "Hey girl," Lucas said, his voice filled with emotion. He wrapped his arms around her neck, burying his face in her mane. "You saved my life. I'll never forget that." From that day forward, their bond only grew stronger. Lucas spent every moment he could with Bella, grooming her, feeding her, and riding her through the fields. She became more than just a horse. She was his best friend, his protector, and a symbol of hope. Their story spread far and wide, touching the hearts of everyone who heard it. Years later, Lucas would often look back on that cold, harrowing night and marvel at how a horse's instinct and courage had changed the course of his life. Bella remained by his side through every challenge and triumph, a constant reminder of the unbreakable bond between humans and animals. Their story became a cherished tale in the community, passed down through generations as a testament to the power of trust, loyalty, and love. As the days turned into weeks, Lucas and Bella's bond became inseparable. The boy, now recovering steadily, found comfort in being around the horse that had saved his life. Every morning, despite still using crutches, Lucas would make his way to the barn. Bella would greet him with an eager whinny, her dark eyes lighting up at the sight of him. "Good morning, Bella," Lucas would say, his voice filled with affection. He would sit on a hay bale, brushing her coat and telling her about his plans for the day. Though Bella couldn't respond with words, her gentle nudges and soft nickers spoke volumes. The Harpers, deeply moved by Bella's actions, decided to officially make her part of their farm. "She's earned her place here," Mr. Harper declared one evening. "This horse has a heart of gold." Lucas, overhearing the conversation, couldn't help but feel a swell of gratitude. He knew that Bella deserved more than just a home. She deserved love and care for the rest of her life. Together, they worked out a routine where Lucas would help care for Bella as part of his rehabilitation. It was the perfect arrangement, as it allowed him to rebuild his strength while deepening their connection. One sunny afternoon, Lucas decided to ride Bella again for the first time since the incident. His leg was healing well, and though he still felt occasional pain, he was determined to try. With Mr. Harper's help, he mounted Bella carefully, holding onto the reins with a steady grip. "Take it slow," Mr. Harper cautioned. "No need to rush." Lucas nodded, patting Bella's neck. "You ready, girl?" Bella let out a soft snort as if to say, "Let's do this." She began to walk, her steps careful and deliberate. Lucas felt a rush of excitement and freedom as they moved through the open field. The cool breeze brushed against his face, and for the first time in weeks, he felt truly alive. They ventured farther, reaching the edge of the woods where the ordeal had begun. Lucas hesitated for a moment, memories of that fateful night flooding back. But Bella, sensing his unease, stopped and turned her head to nudge his leg gently. It was as if she was reassuring him that everything was okay now. "You're right," Lucas murmured, stroking her mane. "We're safe." He guided her along the path, reliving the journey they had made together. The woods no longer seemed as daunting with Bella by his side. Instead, they felt like a place of resilience, a reminder of how far they had come. As they reached the clearing where Bella had found him, Lucas paused to take it all in. "This is where you saved me," he said softly, his voice filled with emotion. "I'll never forget it." Bella let out a soft neigh, her ears flicking forward as if acknowledging his words. They stayed there for a while, the silence between them speaking louder than words ever could. When they finally turned back toward the farm, Lucas felt a deep sense of peace. He was no longer afraid of the memories. Instead, he saw them as a testament to Bella's courage and their shared bond. Back at the farmhouse, the Harpers welcomed them with smiles and warm cider. Mrs. Harper had been documenting their story, taking pictures and writing down the details of that incredible night. "People need to hear about this," she said. "It's a story of hope and bravery." Word began to spread beyond the small community. Local newspapers picked up the story, dubbing Bella the hero horse. People from neighboring towns came to see her, bringing treats and gifts. Lucas was more than happy to share their story, though he always emphasized one thing. Bella wasn't just a hero, she was family. One day, a reporter from a national magazine visited the farm to interview Lucas and the Harpers. They wanted to feature Bella's story in a special edition about extraordinary animals. As Lucas recounted the events of that cold night, he couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. "Bella didn't just save my life," he said. "She showed me what true loyalty looks like. She's more than a horse, she's my best friend." The magazine article brought even more attention to Bella. Animal advocacy groups reached out, wanting to honor her bravery. One organization even offered to sponsor her care for life, ensuring that she would always have the best feed, medical attention, and living conditions. Through it all, Bella remained the same gentle, unassuming horse she had always been. Fame didn't change her. She was happiest when she was with Lucas, trotting through the fields or resting in the barn. Lucas, too, found his life changing in unexpected ways. He was invited to speak at schools and community events, sharing his story and emphasizing the importance of kindness and trust between humans and animals. At one event, a little girl approached him with wide eyes. "Is Bella really a hero?" she asked. Lucas smiled and knelt down to her level. "She's the biggest hero I know," he said, "because she didn't just save me. She taught me how to be brave." As the years passed, Lucas and Bella's bond only grew stronger. Bella became a local legend, her story inspiring countless people. But for Lucas, she was more than a legend. She was a constant in his life, a source of comfort and strength. He often thought back to that fateful night and marveled at how a horse's instincts and courage had changed everything. In the end, it wasn't just a story about survival. It was a story about friendship, resilience, and the unbreakable bond between a boy and his horse. And as Lucas grew older, he knew one thing for certain: Bella would always be his hero. As time went on, the bond between Lucas and Bella continued to grow, and their lives became intertwined in ways that neither could have imagined. Lucas, now fully healed, had become more confident and adventurous, much of which he attributed to Bella's influence. She had taught him resilience and bravery, and in turn, he devoted his days to making sure she was happy and healthy. The Harpers decided to expand the farm, turning it into a sanctuary for rescued animals. Inspired by Bella's heroism, they wanted to create a safe space for animals in need. The farm became a bustling haven, filled with animals of all kinds: abandoned dogs, injured goats, and even a few horses who had been neglected. Each animal had its own story, and Bella seemed to take on the role of leader, as if she understood what it meant to be given a second chance. Lucas took an active role in the sanctuary, helping with the day-to-day tasks. He found joy in connecting with the animals, especially the ones who were skittish or scared. He often told them, "If Bella can overcome everything she's been through, so can you." His words seemed to resonate, and the animals, one by one, began to trust him. One day, a young mare was brought to the sanctuary. She was thin, with matted fur and scars that told a story of hardship. Bella was the first to approach her, her calm demeanor instantly putting the mare at ease. Lucas watched in awe as Bella nuzzled the newcomer, offering her comfort and assurance. It was moments like these that reminded him of why the sanctuary was so important. As the sanctuary grew, so did the community's involvement. Volunteers flocked to the farm, eager to lend a hand. Local schools organized field trips, where children learned about animal welfare and heard Bella's incredible story. Lucas often led the tours, proudly sharing how Bella had saved his life and inspired the sanctuary. One afternoon, as Lucas and Bella were out for a ride, they encountered a group of hikers. One of them recognized Bella instantly. "Is this the hero horse?" the woman asked, her eyes lighting up. Lucas nodded, patting Bella's neck. "That's her. She's the reason I'm here today." The hikers were thrilled, taking pictures and asking Lucas to share more about their journey. Bella, ever patient and gentle, stood still as the group admired her. Lucas couldn't help but smile. Bella had become a symbol of hope and courage for so many people. But life wasn't without its challenges. Running a sanctuary was no easy task, and there were days when the workload felt overwhelming. Lucas often found himself exhausted, but Bella was always there to lift his spirits. Whether it was a playful nudge or a quiet moment together in the barn, she had a way of reminding him why they were doing this. One evening, as Lucas was closing up the barn, he noticed Bella standing by the fence, gazing out at the horizon. He walked over, leaning against the fence beside her. "What are you thinking about, girl?" he asked softly. Bella turned her head to nuzzle his shoulder, her eyes filled with the kind of wisdom that only animals possess. Lucas chuckled, scratching behind her ears. "You're amazing, you know that?" As the sun set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Lucas felt a deep sense of gratitude. Bella had not only saved his life, but had also given him a purpose. Together, they had built something meaningful, a sanctuary that was changing lives, both human and animal. Months later, the sanctuary hosted its first fundraiser. The event drew hundreds of people, all eager to support the cause. Lucas was nervous as he stepped up to the podium to speak, but the sight of Bella standing nearby gave him courage. "Thank you all for being here," he began, his voice steady. "This sanctuary started because of one incredible horse. Bella didn't just save my life, she showed me what it means to fight for something bigger than yourself. Every animal here has a story, and every one of them deserves a second chance. With your help, we can make that happen." The crowd erupted into applause, moved by Lucas's words. Bella, sensing the energy, let out a soft whinny, as if adding her own thanks. The fundraiser was a huge success, raising enough money to expand the sanctuary and bring in more animals. As the years passed, Bella's story continued to inspire. Lucas, now a young man, had taken over much of the sanctuary's operations, but Bella remained the heart of it all. She was there for every new arrival, every challenge, and every triumph. Her presence was a reminder of the sanctuary's mission, to provide love and care for those who needed it most. One summer evening, as Lucas watched the animals grazing in the pasture, he reflected on how far they had come. Bella stood nearby, her coat gleaming in the golden light. "We built something amazing, haven't we?" he said, his voice filled with pride. Bella turned her head, her eyes meeting his. In that moment, no words were needed. Their bond was unbreakable, their journey forever intertwined. Lucas knew that no matter what the future held, Bella would always be his greatest inspiration. Together, they had created a legacy of love, courage, and hope, a legacy that would live on for generations to come. The sanctuary became a cornerstone of the community, with its impact extending far beyond what Lucas and his family had ever imagined. Bella's story was now a local legend, and her presence on the farm was almost mythical to visitors. School children wrote essays about her bravery, artists painted murals depicting her rescue of Lucas, and local newspapers frequently featured updates about the sanctuary's work. Lucas often marveled at how a single event, his accident and Bella's incredible act of courage, had sparked such a monumental change in his life and in the lives of so many others. The sanctuary was now home to over 50 animals, each with a story of resilience, recovery, and love. Horses, dogs, cats, goats, and even a rescued peacock roamed the property, cared for by a dedicated team of volunteers and staff. Among the newest arrivals was a foal named Star, who had been found abandoned in a nearby field. Weak and malnourished, she required around-the-clock care. Bella, ever the nurturing soul, took Star under her wing, gently guiding the young foal around the pasture and teaching her the ways of herd life. Lucas watched with pride as Bella mentored Star, much like she had done for him. Star's recovery was slow but steady, and her playful antics brought joy to everyone at the sanctuary. Lucas often joked that Star had inherited Bella's knack for leadership, as the foal quickly became a favorite among the other animals. Watching the two of them together reminded Lucas of the cycles of healing and growth that the sanctuary represented. One afternoon, a journalist from a national magazine visited the sanctuary to write a feature about Bella and the farm. Lucas showed her around, sharing stories about the animals and their journeys. When they reached Bella, the journalist was visibly moved. "She's remarkable," the journalist said, stroking Bella's mane. "It's rare to see such a deep connection between a human and an animal." Lucas smiled, leaning against the fence. "Bella's more than a horse, she's family. She's the reason all of this exists. Every animal here owes a part of their second chance to her." The article was published a month later, and the response was overwhelming. Donations poured in from across the country, allowing the sanctuary to expand its facilities and rescue even more animals. Lucas was humbled by the outpouring of support, but he knew it all came back to Bella's courage and the bond they shared. As the years went by, Lucas and Bella continued to inspire those around them. Bella aged gracefully, her once fiery energy mellowing into a calm wisdom. Lucas often spent quiet evenings with her, reflecting on their journey and the sanctuary's future. One autumn evening, as the leaves turned vibrant shades of orange and red, Lucas sat in the pasture with Bella. Star, now a strong and spirited young mare, grazed nearby. The air was crisp, and the setting sun cast a warm glow over the farm. "You've done so much for me," Lucas said softly, running his hand along Bella's neck. "I wouldn't be who I am without you." Bella let out a gentle whinny, nuzzling Lucas's shoulder. It was as if she understood every word. In time, Bella's health began to decline, a natural part of her aging. Lucas and the sanctuary staff did everything they could to keep her comfortable, ensuring she was surrounded by love and care. The community rallied around her, organizing a celebration of her life and her contributions to the sanctuary. On a peaceful spring morning, Bella passed away in her sleep, her spirit leaving behind a legacy that would endure forever. Lucas was heartbroken, but he found solace in the knowledge that Bella's impact would continue to ripple through the lives she had touched. The sanctuary held a memorial for Bella, attended by hundreds of people whose lives had been changed by her story. Lucas spoke through tears, sharing memories of their journey and the lessons Bella had taught him. "She showed me what it means to be brave, to love unconditionally, and to fight for what matters," Lucas said. "Bella may be gone, but her spirit will always be a part of this sanctuary." In the years that followed, the sanctuary grew into a nationally recognized organization, rescuing and rehabilitating thousands of animals. Lucas, now an adult, carried Bella's memory with him in everything he did. Her story was a reminder of the power of compassion and the unbreakable bond between humans and animals. Star, now a magnificent horse in her own right, took on Bella's role as the heart of the sanctuary. She carried forward Bella's legacy, mentoring new arrivals and bringing joy to visitors. Lucas often saw glimpses of Bella in Star's actions, a testament to the lasting influence of her gentle guidance. On quiet evenings, Lucas would sit by the pasture, gazing at the stars and feeling Bella's presence. He knew she was still with him, her spirit woven into the fabric of the sanctuary and the lives it touched. Bella's courage had sparked a journey of love and healing that would continue for generations, a legacy that would never be forgotten. As the years passed, Lucas dedicated himself entirely to the sanctuary, building on Bella's legacy with unwavering determination. The once modest farm had transformed into a sprawling haven, equipped with state-of-the-art facilities, therapy programs for children and veterans, and an educational center for the community. Bella's story remained at the heart of it all, inspiring every initiative and reminding everyone of the sanctuary's origins. Lucas found himself working alongside an incredible team of volunteers and staff members who shared his passion. Many of them had their own stories of healing and connection with the animals at the sanctuary. There was Maria, who had overcome severe anxiety through her bond with a rescue dog named Jasper, and Noah, a former soldier who found solace in working with the horses after returning from deployment. Their stories intertwined with the sanctuary's mission, creating a network of support and hope. One day, a family arrived at the sanctuary with a young boy named Ethan. He was shy and withdrawn, barely speaking as his parents explained that he had been struggling since a recent accident. Lucas recognized the pain in Ethan's eyes. He had once been that boy, lost and searching for comfort. He led the family to Star, who had taken on Bella's role as the sanctuary's matriarch. "Let's introduce him to Star," Lucas suggested, kneeling beside the boy. "She's special, just like you." Ethan hesitated, clutching his mother's hand, but Lucas's gentle encouragement and Star's calm presence soon worked their magic. The boy reached out to touch the horse's muzzle, a tentative gesture that marked the beginning of a profound connection. Over time, Ethan blossomed under Star's gentle guidance, his confidence growing with every visit to the sanctuary. Stories like Ethan's became the lifeblood of the sanctuary, each one a testament to the power of connection and healing. The sanctuary wasn't just a place for animals, it was a place for people to rediscover themselves, to find strength in the unlikeliest of friendships. Lucas often reflected on how far they had come. He still felt Bella's presence in the rustle of the leaves, the warmth of the sun on his face, and the gentle whinnies of the horses. Her legacy lived on in the sanctuary's every brick, in every blade of grass, and in the hearts of those who walked through its gates. One day, Lucas received a call from a filmmaker who wanted to create a documentary about the sanctuary. The project would highlight Bella's story and the sanctuary's impact on the community. Lucas hesitated at first, unsure about stepping into the spotlight, but he realized the opportunity to spread their message was too important to pass up. The filmmaker Rachel spent months capturing the sanctuary's daily life, interviewing Lucas, the staff, and the people whose lives had been changed by their time there. She documented Ethan's journey, Maria's bond with Jasper, and the sanctuary's efforts to rescue animals in need. Through it all, Bella's story served as the thread that tied everything together. When the documentary premiered, it was met with widespread acclaim. Audiences around the world were moved by the sanctuary's mission and the extraordinary bond between Lucas and Bella. Donations poured in, allowing the sanctuary to expand its reach even further. Lucas was overwhelmed by the response, but he remained grounded, always remembering why he had started this journey. The sanctuary's impact extended far beyond its physical borders. schools incorporated Bella's story into their curriculums, teaching children about kindness and resilience. Therapists recommended visits to the sanctuary as part of their treatment plans, and families found a place to reconnect and heal. Lucas often found himself speaking at events, sharing Bella's story and the sanctuary's mission with audiences who were eager to support their cause. Despite his growing responsibilities, he always made time for the animals, ensuring they received the love and care they deserved. One evening, after a particularly long day, Lucas sat by the pasture, watching the horses graze under the setting sun. Star approached him, nuzzling his shoulder in a gesture that felt achingly familiar. "You've done so much, Star," Lucas whispered, running a hand along her neck. "Just like Bella would have wanted." Star let out a soft whinny, as if to agree. In that moment, Lucas felt a profound sense of peace. The sanctuary was more than a dream. It was a living, breathing testament to the power of love and resilience. Bella's spirit was alive in every corner of the farm, in the laughter of children, the gentle eyes of the animals, and the hearts of everyone who had found healing there. As Lucas watched the stars begin to twinkle in the sky, he smiled, knowing that Bella's legacy would continue to shine, lighting the way for countless others to find hope, healing, and a second chance. The seasons changed, bringing new challenges and opportunities to the sanctuary. Lucas had become adept at managing the daily operations, from rescuing and rehabilitating animals to organizing events and fundraisers. Yet, amidst all the busyness, he always prioritized maintaining the sanctuary's heart, its deep connection to Bella's legacy, and the healing it offered to both animals and people. One crisp autumn morning, Lucas was surprised by a visit from a local schoolteacher named Emily. She had heard about the sanctuary and wanted to bring her class for a special field trip. Her student, she explained, had been learning about kindness and empathy, and she believed the sanctuary would bring those lessons to life. Lucas eagerly agreed. The following week, the sanctuary welcomed a group of energetic children. Lucas and his team guided them through the pastures, introducing them to the animals and sharing stories of rescue and renewal. The children were particularly captivated by Star, who had become the sanctuary's most beloved resident. As the children crowded around Star, Emily noticed a quiet girl standing apart from the group. Her name was Lily, and she had been struggling to adjust after her family had moved to the area. Lucas approached her gently, inviting her to meet Star up close. "She's very special," Lucas said, kneeling beside Lily. "She's a good listener, too." Lily hesitated, but eventually reached out to stroke Star's muzzle. The connection was immediate, and for the rest of the visit, she rarely left Star's side. Emily later told Lucas that Lily had opened up in ways she hadn't seen before, crediting the sanctuary for helping her feel at ease. Stories like Lily's reaffirmed the sanctuary's purpose. Lucas decided to expand their educational programs, inviting more schools to visit and experience the transformative power of connecting with animals. He also began collaborating with local organizations to create workshops on empathy, teamwork, and resilience. One such collaboration was with a veterans group that worked with individuals coping with PTSD. Lucas was particularly moved by their stories, as he had always admired the sacrifices veterans made. The sanctuary became a haven for them, where they could work with the animals and find solace in the peaceful environment. Horses like Star and Jasper, with their intuitive understanding of emotions, played a crucial role in the healing process. Among the veterans was a man named Henry, who had served overseas and struggled to reintegrate into civilian life. When Henry first arrived at the sanctuary, he was reserved and withdrawn. Lucas introduced him to Jasper, a gentle horse with a quiet strength. Over time, Henry formed a deep bond with Jasper, finding comfort in their shared understanding of resilience. One day, Henry approached Lucas with an idea. He wanted to create a special program at the sanctuary for veterans, combining animal therapy with peer support. Lucas wholeheartedly embraced the idea, and together, they developed a program that became one of the sanctuary's most impactful initiatives. The sanctuary's reputation continued to grow, drawing visitors from far and wide. Many came seeking healing, while others were simply inspired by the sanctuary's mission. Among the visitors was a journalist who had heard about the sanctuary's work and wanted to write a feature story. As the journalist toured the sanctuary, she was struck by the depth of Lucas's connection to the animals and the people whose lives had been changed. She was particularly moved by the story of a young boy named Ethan, whose bond with Star had helped him overcome his fears, and Henry, who had found a renewed sense of purpose through the Veterans Program. The article was published in a national magazine, bringing the sanctuary into the spotlight. Donations poured in, along with letters from people who had been touched by the stories. Many shared their own experiences of loss and healing, expressing gratitude for the sanctuary's message of hope. With the increased support, Lucas was able to expand the sanctuary further. He added new facilities, including a dedicated space for therapy sessions and a barn for the growing number of rescued animals. He also hired additional staff, ensuring that every animal received the care they needed. Despite the sanctuary's growth, Lucas remained deeply involved in its daily life. He spent his mornings caring for the animals, his afternoons working with visitors, and his evenings planning for the future. Through it all, he never lost sight of Bella's legacy. One winter evening, as snow blanketed the sanctuary, Lucas stood by the pasture, watching the horses huddle together for warmth. Star, now older but still vibrant, approached him, her breath visible in the cold air. "You've done so much, Star," Lucas said, his voice filled with gratitude. "Thank you for carrying on Bella's legacy." Star nuzzled his shoulder, a gesture that spoke volumes. In that quiet moment, Lucas felt a profound sense of fulfillment. The sanctuary had become everything he had dreamed of and more, a place of healing, connection, and transformation. As the first stars appeared in the night sky, Lucas made a silent promise to Bella, Star, and all the animals and people who had touched his life. He would continue to honor their legacy, ensuring that the sanctuary remained a beacon of hope for generations to come. As the years turned into decades, the sanctuary flourished, becoming a landmark of hope and resilience. Its fields stretched farther, its barns grew larger, and its reputation as a haven for healing reached people across the globe. The sanctuary was no longer just a place. It was a movement, a testament to the enduring bond between humans and animals. Lucas, now older, often reflected on how it all began. The memory of Bella saving him remained vivid, a guiding light in everything he did. He would sometimes sit by the old oak tree near the original barn, the spot where Bella had stood after bringing him home that fateful night. It had become a place of reflection where he could feel closest to her spirit. One bright spring morning, the sanctuary held a celebration to honor its 30th anniversary. Visitors poured in from all over, including families, volunteers, and countless individuals whose lives had been touched by the sanctuary. There were speeches, music, and a slideshow of the sanctuary's history, from its humble beginnings to its monumental achievements. Lucas stood at the center of it all, feeling a mix of pride and gratitude. When it was his turn to speak, he stepped onto the small stage, his heart full of emotions. The crowd fell silent, their faces filled with anticipation. 30 years ago, Lucas began, his voice steady but warm. "I was just a scared boy who fell in the woods. I didn't know then that the horse who saved me would change my life, and the lives of so many others." The audience listened intently as Lucas shared Bella's story once more, weaving it into the broader narrative of the sanctuary's mission. He spoke about Star and the other animals who had followed in Bella's footsteps, about the people who had found healing here, and about the community that had made it all possible. "This sanctuary exists because of love," he said, his voice filled with conviction. "Love for animals, love for people, and love for the connections that bind us together. Bella taught me that, and I've spent my life trying to honor her lessons." The crowd erupted into applause, many wiping away tears. Lucas smiled, humbled by the response. He stepped down from the stage and joined the gathering, greeting old friends and meeting new supporters. It was a day of joy and gratitude, a celebration of everything the sanctuary had become. As the sun began to set, Lucas found himself back at the oak tree, watching Star graze in the nearby pasture. Her coat shimmered in the golden light, a reflection of her vitality and spirit. She had carried Bella's legacy with grace, becoming the sanctuary's heart just as Bella had been. Lucas leaned against the tree, closing his eyes for a moment. He thought of Bella, her strength and loyalty, and the way she had saved him not just from the woods but from a life without purpose. He could still feel her presence, as though she were watching over him, proud of all they had built together. When he opened his eyes, he saw a group of children playing with the animals, their laughter filling the air. Among them was a young boy who reminded Lucas of himself, wide-eyed and curious, finding comfort in the gentle nuzzle of a horse. It was a full-circle moment, a reminder that the sanctuary's work would never truly end. Lucas stood and walked towards Star, stroking her neck as she looked up at him with wise, knowing eyes. "We've done good, haven't we?" he said softly. Star let out a soft whinny, nuzzling his hand. Lucas smiled, his heart full. The sanctuary, Bella's legacy, and the lives they had touched. It was all more than he could have ever dreamed. As the stars began to the night sky, Lucas felt a deep sense of peace. The sanctuary was thriving, its mission clear and its future bright. And though Bella was no longer by his side, her spirit lived on in every corner of the farm, in every rescued animal, and in every heart that found hope here. It was a legacy that would endure, a testament to the unbreakable bond between humans and animals, and a story that would be told for generations to come.